Hi guys, this is Sam for SAP Careers and Job Seekers Group. Today we are going to talk about technical roles within the SAP world. So if you're a technical consultant, you might be a developer or a software engineer, you might be a system administrator, or you might be a database administrator. So irrespective of where you come from, even infrastructure, we would have a role for you within the SAP world. So what kind of roles are there for technical consultants? Let's go through this. So let's talk about the developer first. So if you're a software engineer or a developer, you would come in as an ABAP consultant or as a technical consultant who's doing development work in language called ABAP, which is SAP's native language. And then we have a layer of WebDin Pro. We have SAP HANA Studio on top of it, or Fiori application development on top of it, as well as we might have other layers of .NET and Java built into it. So as a consultant, you will come and start developing what we call as RISE-FW. RISE-FW stands for reports, interface, conversions, enhancements, forms, and workflows. So R stands for reports, right? I stands for interface, C stands for conversions, F stands for forms, E stands for enhancements, and W stands for workflow. So those are the objects. So for example, if you are doing a sales invoice or a purchase invoice and you want to put delivery details into it, for let's say you want to put a trucker's license number or a vehicle number in the sales order, then that will become an extra field in the input form of SAP, and that's called a baddie or called a business add-in. And that baddie allows the person to add the vehicle number or the insurance provider, as the case may be. So once you have put that into a sales order, let's say it's called XD01, the sales order number, then we'll call it ZXD01. And Z is a custom object that we create in ABAP or in technical side of SAP, so that when the upgrade happens, the SAP does not touch your technical objects which are custom developed by you. So if you have custom developed the object, SAP is not going to touch those objects, and you can comfortably be sure that the code you have written stays as is, right? So the negative part of it is when the upgrade happens, you will have to rework on the code to get it up to speed. For example, if you have a field which is 8 digits and SAP makes it 10 digits, during the upgrade, then your program will not work, though it's a custom program, and then you have to go out and upgrade that using your ABAP code or WebDin Pro or a Fiori apps development or .NET or Java development. So the RISE-FWs would be done by the developer, development consultant, or what we call as technical consultant or technical ABAP consultant, and they would go out and do the programs. So what they need is called a technical specification, and the technical specifications are created by the functional consultants. So if you are in the financial, sales and distribution, production planning, materials management, or project systems or human resource side, you will go to the client and start gathering requirements. The functionality that you cannot configure through the implementation guide or SPRO side will be given to this developer or the technical consultant, and he will go out and develop these RISE-FW objects. So as I said, in the ZXD01, you will have the vehicle number, plate number, or a vehicle number there, an insurance policy number, and then that will be have to stored on a database table. So you have to create a table at the back end using an API, which we call as Business Application Programming Interface, BAPI, and then that needs to be called back into a custom report form. So you will have a table structure, you will have an API, you will have the forms, and then you'll have a report to pull it. Now, if you're going to send that to a vendor, let's say a vehicle provider, then that will also need an interface. Now, if your material is damaged and it's getting returned back, and in order to send it back to the vendor, because now you're insured, you will need a workflow to be approved. So there you go, guys. Those are RISE-FWs. So reports is there for that material return and vehicle number with insurance number, right? Interface is there for sending it to the vendor from which you have to get the return, or to the transporter who is delivering your product. So custom form custom form is there for you. And then enhancement is the field that we have created within the sales order. And workflow would be needed to approve the return of the material plus sending it to the vendor for replacement or claiming it from the insurance company, whatever the case may be. So RISE-FW objects are done by the developers. So that is the number one role that you can come and do in SAP. Number two, so if you're a system administrator, you will do what we call as become a SAP basis consultant. So there are two aspects to system administration. One is the architecture piece of it. In architecture, you will go and do a landscape diagram or landscape schematic, and then figure out how much of configuration or how much of load you have to put on each of the servers. So you'll have sandbox servers, you'll have a development server, you'll have a quality assurance server. Some people have also training server. You might have a pre-prod server, which is a replica of the production server, which is used for load testing, and you will have a production server. So you'll have a 4 or 5 system landscape. In some countries, you only have 2 systems. So you do development, QA, and training in one server. You do not have a sandbox for proof of concept, and you have a production server. So you have a development instance and a production instance. Now, depending on if you are on premises, you will have those. If you're on the cloud, then you will have the development cloud, the production cloud, the quality assurance cloud, and the training cloud and the QA cloud might be one. All right. If you are in a public cloud, then you will again have these instances, but the private cloud is called Rise with SAP HANA, and then public cloud is called Grow with SAP HANA. Right. So both of those will need the system administrator. There are 3 aspects to it. One is called managing the configuration piece, which means the system administrator will first get the servers up and running, install them or implement them or provision them. It's called provisioning. Once you have provisioned, either on local premises or with SAP, you will go out and actually go and upgrade those and make sure your all patches and all your custom programs are in place so that you can work seamlessly on those servers. Second, you're going to assign roles to the configurator so they can configure, and that is done in a public cloud in a place called Central Business Configuration. You also have user authentication, which is called IES in the public cloud, which is identity authentication services. And then you have a tenant. So you have IAS, you have CBC, and you have tenant in the public cloud. Similarly, on the on-premises or the private cloud, you will have the system admin side, which is the SU transactions. Most of them are SU01 or SM transactions, which is services management and services user, SU. Those would be the frequently used ones. Or you might have parameter setting, which are called RZ transactions. You might have these transactions, and you might have transports to be done from, which is moving configuration. So the system administrator will install, he will configure the users, both the consultant, which is the configuration side, and the end users. End users called role and profiles, which is a transaction called PFCG, right? Which is called profile generator. Profile means level of authorization, and role means the number of transactions you can do, right? So you will configure the roles and profiles. You will also configure the users, both from a configuration standpoint and from an end user standpoint. You will get this landscape installed, and you will move the transport from dev to QA to pre-prod and to production, right? So the transport is a configuration file, which takes care of system settings. The configuration setting is the template that you create either in a sales order or purchase order. So they are moved from dev to QA to production, or if there's no pre-prod. And if you want to do pre-prod, you will have to do load testing, so benchmarking, because the pre-prod replicates the production server, so you can find out what is the response time on the pre-prod server before you move to the production server, and it replicates the interfaces. Though you do not have live interfaces, you will put a breakpoint and test those interfaces. Other than this, the basis administrator will also do day-to-day maintenance tasks, daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly tasks of doing releases as well as upgradation and generally system upkeep in terms of performance management, in terms of optimization of performance of those systems, as well as security certificates. So those would be the system administration. The third role is that of a security consultant. The security consultant primarily looks at what we call as GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. Primarily looking at roles and profiles and how these roles and profiles sit across all the business processes, and are they managed throughout at all points of time. So we look at that as well, right? So that would be a security role, and the security consultant is also a full-time role in SAP. The fourth role we have is of an integration architect. An integration architect does two things. In this, because it's a technical area, he will, number one, look at integration at the functional areas within SAP, and second, you're going to look at integration with external interfaces, which is your partners, and these are through either APIs or remote function calls or other SAP Integration Hub, which is like a BTP, right, Business Technology Platform. It used to be called as what we call as the Excite server, or it used to be called as a, a server which has all the APIs, performance process integration server. It used to be called as PI, process integration server, but now it's called as a BTP platform because all the vendors put in their APIs there. So that would be the third one, the architecture role. You could also be a technical project manager. That would be another role. So the fifth role would be that of a technical project manager, where you are coming from a strong technical background and you manage the entire technical team, including the infrastructure team. So those would be principally the five roles you would think of top of your head. Now, if you're a database administrator, that would be the sixth role, but database administration is more at a data center because now we have moved to cloud. So you'll have to create what we call as VMs, or virtual machines or containers using Dockers. VMs are VMware. Dockers creates containers, and we create LUNs, which is called logical units, which is combining disk space from multiple places and then installing database and then optimizing those database and maintaining those database versions in parallel with the application versions of SAP. So that would be the database administrator role. So that would be the sixth role. So again, you can be a developer, you can be an architect, you can be a technical project manager, you can be a system administrator, you can be an architect, right? Or you can be a security consultant. Those six roles are the most prevalent roles in SAP. So if you like what you hear, guys, and you will want to be intimated, please hit on that subscribe button on this so we can intimate you whenever we launch new videos. We run a company called SAP Technologies. If you need help in your career, please write to career, CARRERS, at sapsol.com, or log into our portal called Hirerig, www.hirerig.ai, and our consultants will reach out to you to help you build your journey and your career much smoother. And we do have in-house projects, we have client projects, we have in-house projects, as well as we help you get embedded into the technology of SAP and get deployed into the industry. So hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe this channel. And this is Sam Moll signing off for SAP Careers and Job Seekers Groups. Thank you, guys.